In the beginning of day 2, we are now going to cut your project into 2 pieces. And in order for this to happen, you have to turn your call light and ask your instructor to cut your project. Once you have your designs cut into 2 pieces, the next step is we are going to put in the stones. This may seem like a difficult step, but it should go easily if you follow my instructions. So you need to gather these 3 items: a tote tray, your container of stones, a brush, and a tweezers. Tweezers you may not need. Make sure you want a clean work area when working on transferring the stones. So clear off your entire countertop, have nothing there except for the tote tray and the equipment you'll be needing. The rhinestones are very expensive, and we can't lose them, spill them, so we need to take extreme care not to spill the bucket of rhinestones. If you lose any, it is costly, so you need to make sure that they stay in the bucket and they get returned to the bucket, any excess. So inside our tote tray, we need to place our design and take our jar of stones, and we can pour a generous amount over our design. Then I'm going to set my jar outside with the lid on it. I have found that it's easiest if you lightly take the brush and go over the letters. I'm barely pushing down. The lighter the better. Kind of go multiple directions and kind of slowly see that I'm able to get the majority of them by going lightly and then going multiple times. There I've easily and quickly got all but just a couple stones. The key though is pushing lightly and multiple directions. Now look here on the E and you can see I have 2 openings. I can take a few extra stones and set them over with my fingers and lightly push over the stones again. I have found that if you almost just lightly pull the brush across without any downward pressure, it seems to work quite well. So you can see barely pushing. You can see here I have 1 stone that's missing. If you can carefully just push the stones in, and again you want to be lightly so you don't want to push the stones out. Once you have all your stones in, you need to very carefully remove your design from the tray. Make sure you don't have any stones on any extra stones that are loose, that they should all stay in the tray, and you can set this outside on the table nearby in a very safe location. Then put in the second design and repeat the process. If you do have 1 or 2 stones that are very difficult to get in, you can take the tweezers and carefully set them in. Again, the majority should go in using the brush. If you have a stubborn stone, it is okay to use the tweezers. When using the tweezers, it's impossible to grab the stones like this. If you lay the tweezers flat, it's much easier to grab them and place a couple stones in your last holes. You can see my last 2 stones here are upside down. A technique I like to use is just stabbing them on one edge and flipping them over. And I feel like that works pretty well. Then with the second design, when finished, we need to take our tools out, set them in another location, and again, carefully pull out your design, not taking any extra stones with you, and set it on the counter. A very common mistake is that when people set their project down, we want to try to avoid just this. They set it down and they drop it. And then you have to start over, essentially. Be very careful not to drop your project when you move it to the table. Then, with all these extra stones in our tray, we need to gently shake them to one end. Carefully, you don't have any stuck to your hands. And push them to one end of the tote tray. Open our jar. And again, careful. You may want to have one partner do this and the other one make sure no one's standing by bumping you, watching what you're doing. And carefully just return the stones back to the jar, any unused stones. The next step is transferring our stones onto a piece of transfer tape that then we'll be able to press onto our t-shirt. So gather your tape and the transfer tape. With the piece of tape, we want to tape down the end of our project to help hold it steady on the table. So go ahead and tape down your design. I have found that one piece of tape isn't enough. Sometimes it breaks loose. I would recommend adding 2 more, maybe 3 pieces of tape. I have a hard corner here, but that seems to prevent some problems. So add some more tape. Then you need to take your transfer tape and separate it carefully. And the white piece you do not need. The tape is what you need next. There is a method to this. You cannot just drop the tape on your design. If you do, it's likely that static electricity will help have the stones pop up and they will flip and get out of order. So you want to follow this step very carefully. Otherwise you'll end up repeating the previous steps. So watch this and follow instructions exactly as I show you. So I want to take my transfer tape and I want to place it on this end with my dominant hand, my right hand. I want to make sure it's straight so my whole piece will cover it. And in one smooth motion, I want to hold this up with my left hand and slide across in one smooth, solid motion. I don't want to go slow. If you go too slow, the stones will pop up. So I'm going to take it and push across just like that in one smooth motion. And you can take your hands and you can press the stones in. Make sure they're in there nice and solid. When putting on your transfer tape, remember it's got to be, you got to press down hard. You have to press down hard and fast in one clean motion. You cannot go slow. A mistake that will basically make you start over this whole process is by doing this incorrectly. Some students, what they do is they lay this down too slowly or they lay it down too flat. If you lay it down slowly, pieces begin to jump. And that is what we were trying to avoid, because if this happens, you have to start over. And clean off your stones. And then you will simply take your design and pull them off, and the stones will stay in place. And our design is ready to move to the t-shirt. The two templates are materials that you can also take home.